scrub is a guy that thinks he's fly and is also known as a buster.
Frank Miller is 62 today.
Oh, happy birthday, Mr. Frank Miller.
He looks a million.
Does he? Well, he has like road miles on him, doesn't he?
Yeah, city miles, I think is the expression
city
that
miles,
you're looking
yeah.
for. But yeah, I mean he doesn't look great. And I don't know what's maybe somebody who with their ear more to the ground to what's going on in comics or behind the scenes in comics would know, but he often has like bruises on his face. I don't know if he's into MMA
really?
or something like that.
What is going on? That's
I don't know.
Weird. He's part of a fight club we don't know about?
Yeah, maybe. And his nose is like super crooked. Like it was never like super straight, but it feels like it's
gotten more
listing.
Crooked?
Yeah.
Whoa. That's not good.
So, yeah, him and his little hat.
Yeah.
And happy birthday to him.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a bite out of one of the noisiest pastries in the world, a baklava.
All right.
That is inside of a plastic container.
So
if you're wondering what all the noise is, that's probably what it is.
It's a noise maker.
And I might not finish it because I don't think this is very good.
Oh, no.
Baklava.
Oh, no.
It just tastes kind of old. I know you can make it.
It can sit around for a while, but
The
you want it to
phyllo
be
and the
fresh.
honey, it can sit around for a while, but
Yeah.
like it has not. It's that it wasn't wrapped up
Oh, sure. Right.
in plastic wrap.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of dust
It's supposed to be like super moist.
and bodega.
Yeah.
The tang of bodega on it. Reviewing second-rate pastries. That's the podcast that you've tuned into. Or perhaps not. Perhaps it's the Just Enough Trope podcast. I'm your host, Caliban, joined as always by my co-host.
Hi, I'm Mikan Hana.
Fighting to keep my voice in this cold and dry climate.
Yeah, I hear ya.
It is super, super cold where we are.
Yes, it is.
And so I'm just trying to... I talk so much and I think I forget that it takes a toll. You know, it's like having sore muscles or something like that.
Yeah,
If you're
yeah.
a weightlifter, which I am.
Yeah, it's gotten to the point where, like, I don't usually wear a hat, but it's gotten to the point where I really need to wear one because my ears are freezing, and that's just not a good thing.
No.
So, and I take the bus to and from work, so I have to wait outside, for sometimes an
Right.
extended period of time.
Spread that around.
Yeah, I know.
Well, good luck to you.
Thanks.
You have a sort of a apparatus or something, earmuffs or something, right?
I have some ear, like, I don't know what you call them. They're kind of like ear cuffs. They were really popular, like, in the 90s.
And I've still got them.
I've still got them somewhere, but I've misplaced them. I don't know where they are, and I really need them because I often wear my hair up, and my hat just is not going to cut it because it's not going to really sit on my head where it needs to.
I'm just wrestling with this baklava here. Maybe I'll give up on it. I think I forget that I have ears, even when it's cold out.
Yeah.
Until there's some threshold that the temperature goes below.
Yes.
And then it's like, oh yeah, I've got ears.
Yeah.
And they are seconds away from being numb.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Well, and I recently switched to, like...
All right, that's it. I don't have it anymore.
You
Sorry,
don't have
go
it
ahead.
anymore?
No.
I recently switched to my down coat because my pea coat was not cutting it anymore. And, I guess it's not so bad if we're just getting this at the end of January, but it still feels like we are getting colder and colder, and it's just like
Whoa.
no end in sight.
Mr. Freeze would love it.
Yeah, I know, right?
That's how we bring it back to comic books. I can't believe that I brought up Frank Miller and we talked about him for that long, which was not very long.
No, it is not very
You don't
long.
have anything to say about Frank Miller?
I like a lot of his writing, I think he, does a lot of interesting things with comics. I liked, what I've...
Interesting things, yeah.
Well, I liked his run on Daredevil that I read. That was pretty good.
Well, everybody likes that. That's why we're talking about him, period.
Yeah, I know. What are some other things of his that I've actually read? I'm trying to think.
The Dark Knight Returns.
Oh, yes. That was really good, too.
Yes.
So, I mean, maybe it's just like classic Frank Miller that I really like.
He's somebody who, I think he deserves the praise that he gets, but he is definitely, with crazy things that he said and some crazy work that he's done, has pushed himself to the fringe. Mm-hmm. And it seems like he's going to stay there.
Like, I haven't actually read Sin City. I saw the first movie.
Really?
But, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you right now.
Yeah.
You saw the first movie. Great.
Yeah.
It's not great.
Oh, okay.
Well, I mean, I don't know. It's great in sort of spurts, but it's not jugular spurts, of course. But it's not like a classic masterpiece. But it came at the exact right time for everybody to be like, "Oh, this is the coolest, this
Right.
best thing." Kind of like how a lot of the anime shows and movies that came out of Japan in like the early mid '90s, people are like, "Oh, it's so great! Oh, yeah!" And it's like, "Oh, Wicked City! Oh, it's so great!" It's like, is it really that great? Or like the Battle Angel Alita OVA, the movie.
Yes.
Battle Angel is awful, but
It's not great.
It's all we had.
Yeah.
And so we're like, oh, yeah, that's Appleseed. Oh, yeah, it's also
Right.
good. No, I mean, like, the worst Netflix show today probably beats out a lot of those old films.
Yeah. Yeah. You have a point. Although some of the...
But Miller's stuff holds up. I took another bite. Now I'm going to put this away.
Okay.
I'm not having any more. The Miller stuff holds up. That stuff does. The Sin City stuff is like... His stuff has always been just... fighting through phyllo dough here.
Yeah, I know.
His stuff. Oh no! Now they're drinking coffee. Okay. I was just doing an ASMR podcast.
Yeah.
But his stuff has always been, about sleazy criminals and things like that.
Right.
And as long as it's, he's doing like a pastiche of dime store pulp novel type stuff. Cigarette smoke was thick like a haze, as she slid off the strap of her negligee from her golden shoulder,
Right,
or whatever.
Right.
And it's, he's kind of doing a thing. Now, does that hold up on its own? Not really. But if he's doing a thing, fine. But if he's doing it for serious, it's like, all right, like how effective is it?
Right.
It's like how, was it Sean Phillips or whatever has had all this success with doing just that, like these sort of pulpy kind of stories, and the dame was a devil, that sort of thing.
Right.
But yeah, Frank is like, what if Batman killed Osama bin Laden? It's
Right.
like, what?
Yeah, I know.
What are you talking about?
I know. It's like, well, that's a little off the deep
And
end.
also, there were no Jews in the Twin Towers on 9/11. It's like, whoa, okay, all right, Frank, come on. Come on, what are you talking about here?
Right.
All right, that is as long as we should have talked about Frank Miller.
Okay, we did it.
And it's a good thing that we're talking about comics, and especially gritty comics today, because that's what we're talking about for our segment,
Yes.
which is Comic Book Club.
Yes.
We've talked about comics, and we're terrible with branding. We got to
No,
bring
you're
back
right.
the branding, Comic Book Club. So we'll be back with Comic Book Club today,
Mm-hmm.
and looking at a special selection that has to do specifically with something that is not Comic Book Club. It's more TV coffee clutch,
Sure.
television. What's a gathering of people? It starts with a T.
Oh my.
Tribe.
Yeah.
The
there
television
you go.
tribe.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah. So that's not what we're doing, though. We are talking about Deadly Class. Mm-hmm. Do you want to take over? Because I'm clearly having a problem here.
Sure. We are talking specifically about the second story arc, which I guess would be like the second like collected volume of Deadly Class.
Second trade.
Second trade.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Issues 7 to 11,
Yes.
which will be the second episode of the show, I guess.
I know the rate that they were going.
Yeah. We talked about the pilot a
Yes.
little while back and really enjoyed it. And I would encourage you to watch Deadly Class on Sci-Fi.
Yeah.
And so in connection with that, we thought we would dive in a little more to the series, the comic series
Yeah.
of Deadly Class. Without spoiling it, what'd you think?
Yeah, I liked it. I felt like it left
You-
on like a cliffhanger.
Yeah, you thought
So
you thought killing one boy with a knife or a fire axe or something,
Right.
while you're on an LSD trip in Vegas, that's the worst it can get.
Oh no, it gets so much worse.
Oh yes, and it does. And we'll be talking about that
Yeah.
a little later, and we'll be talking about some news as well, and we'll talk about some news.
Jeff Goldblum.
I try not to. I don't think that the hottest show with the hottest wings on internet TV, Hot Ones, is that good. Mm-hmm. I think it's fun to see celebrities that you like. Although if it's a celebrity you don't like I don't watch that episode.
Right.
So if
Why
they
would
have,
you?
I don't know. I can't even. Let's just pick a name. He hasn't been on. I'm sure he will soon. Seth MacFarlane.
Sure.
I don't want to hear Brian the dog eat wings. I don't care. He's Brian the dog, right?
I think so.
He does
There's
like
a lot
one
of those-
voice.
Yeah.
and then he can do the Boston accent, and that's it.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, I don't care about that.
Right.
But if it's somebody that I'm interested to see eat wings, like I don't really care about Natalie Portman, but yeah, shove some wings in there. Let's see her little face light up.
Right.
But it's not that. I think it's too long. I think it should just be 20 minutes. It varies in length. The interviewer is either the best interviewer in the world or the worst interviewer in the world. I can't really tell.
Okay.
I know that he was chosen for his ability to eat hot food, though. I can tell you that much. So
They
anyway,
tested that first.
the point is that I go again in spurts, which is maybe we're working towards some kind of hat trick for that. Yeah, we'll have some more spurts for sure at the end of the show. You're looking at me with a blank look
Wow.
on your face. Jeff Goldblum was on their show.
Okay, sure.
And I was like, do I watch this? Who cares?
Right.
I know exactly what it's going to be. And then I watched it. It was exactly what I thought it was.
Uh-huh.
And it's still entertaining. The guy's entertaining.
Okay. Yeah, he is entertaining.
Yeah.
He
was
is
talking about
like
all
a commodity, like
different
himself.
things. Yeah. And you'd think that, like, they had Gordon Ramsay on. Now, just because you are, international chef who makes and probably consumes a lot of food, it doesn't mean that you love hot food or have a high tolerance or whatever, but he's
That's
known to
true.
be a real tough guy.
Mm-hmm.
But he was kind of making a bit out of it near the end, but he was dying to get through like the end of the thing. Whereas I still tell the story about watch the Padma Lakshmi episode because she's a really interesting person and she's just got a lot of poise and she's had a real great history in broadcasting as far as his cooking shows go. I don't watch them,
Right.
but it was informative for me. And things that make men cry, she's just eating. Like she ate like the very last wing and she's like, oh yeah, that's really hot. Yeah. So anyway, I was in the Poconos and but Jeff Goldblum, like he was eating the hot wings and he was talking about how it was hot, but it didn't stop him from
talking,
kvetching and sort of quibbling about all these things.
Sure.
And he's like, oh, that is hot. Yes. My band, when we play jazz, we try to play hot jazz like that. And he was just still going. And it's like, geez, turn it off. I don't think he can.
I don't think he can.
There's no
either.
off button.
No.
And they're like telling him about the, because he knows about all the weird, I think he kind of likes all the weird kind of daddy meme stuff about him. But
I think he does.
They were talking
too.
about the blow up statue of him, from Jurassic Park that they had out by the Brooklyn Bridge, not Brooklyn Bridge, London Bridge.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh yes, that's great. It's great. Yeah, it's great." So, anyway, how do we get out of this?
Well, I have an acquaintance who went to see him at something, and she was called up on stage, and she handed him a note and wanted him to say that her and her boyfriend had gotten engaged and they hadn't told their family yet. So Jeff Goldblum announces this on the stage, and then he's like, "Can I be invited to your wedding?"
What?
There's a video of it and everything.
Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen, Cindy and Scott are they're getting married.
Yes.
They're tying the knot. They're nuptials.
Yes.
They're joining.
Exactly.
Right like that.
Yeah.
Well, we'll do the news. Let's talk about the Oscars.
You sound so excited.
I love my job. No, we have to. Less and less. I mean, I don't really care at all, but less and less they become less relevant.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't matter. There's never going to be. There will be an upset in that there are things that just should have won,
Right.
and don't.
Yeah.
And there are things that look like they are on the fixes in, and they're going to win, and then no, it's Moonlight.
Right.
And that's the only drama, and they probably manufacture that drama too.
Probably.
Where's this like the firm that got fired because they screwed up with the Moonlight thing? Like, are we sure that they're not back on? And that was all just a.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not a conspiracy guy, but whatever. The point is that it doesn't matter. I think it's very telling that they pushed to have this. Well, let's have popular movies that people
Right.
like, so they'll watch the show because that means that we can have Chadwick Boseman on stage. And I'm like, you can put him on stage no matter what. Who cares?
Right.
And everybody went, guys, even for something as slimy as Hollywood, like that's pretty slimy.
Mm-hmm.
And they backed off of that. And Black Panther is now nominated for Best Picture.
I
Now,
know.
does it deserve a nomination? I'm not here to argue that. But I don't think it deserves a nomination if the director isn't even considered and the screenplay isn't considered. How is it the Best Picture?
Right.
You just took the idea to have the popular film category and merged it with the other idea that you started about 10 years ago, for
Right.
the same reason, the let's make it 10 instead of 5 films.
Yeah, I know.
And so, yeah, Black Panther's up.
So they're just trying to pull for more viewers. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Tweak.
all a popularity contest anyways, right?
Yeah. Well, yes. Everything that you vote for is a popularity contest.
I know.
So even though if you don't like the NHS and the honor roll kids, and you don't want to be a part of student council or student government,
Right.
and you say it's just a popularity contest, these elections.
Yes, absolutely they are.
Yes,
All right.
of course.
Okay.
That's literally what an election is.
All right.
It's literally a contest whose winner is
To
determined
see who has the most
by their
votes.
popularity.
Yeah, no, you're right.
Unless there's an electoral college.
Yeah.
All right. Not a political show, though. So let's just talk about the surprises. I'm not going to read every single thing.
Okay.
Were you surprised? Well, we already talked about Black Panther. I don't think you were surprised about that.
Well, maybe a little bit that they like snuck that in there.
Okay, let's play a game.
Okay.
Here are the Best Picture nominees. There are 8 of them: Black Panther, Black Klansman,
Yep.
Combo Breaker, Bohemian Rhapsody, The Favorite, Green Book, Roma, A Star Is Born, and Vice.
Yeah.
Now, if you had to make this a category of 5, what would you eliminate from that? And I know you haven't seen. Just make a judgment
Well,
call.
let's see. I would probably eliminate Black Panther. Eliminate A Star Is Born.
Really?
Yeah.
That was never not going to be in full consideration, even though Bradley Cooper was not nominated.
Yeah. I don't know.
Screw you, buddy. You and your fake baby.
And I guess I probably would eliminate Bohemian Rhapsody too.
Okay.
So those 3, that's what I'd eliminate. How
So
about you?
I think those are good picks.
Okay.
But when you look at it, it's all the same thing. Right? Bohemian
Yeah.
Rhapsody, musical that's tragic. Star Is Born, musical that's tragic.
Yeah, that's true.
Green Book, touching tale about a minority figure. Roma, touching tale about a minority figure.
Yes.
Black Klansman, political thing. Vice, political thing.
No, you're absolutely right.
The only original thing in here is Black Panther and The Favorite, which would be my vote. And
Yeah.
I hope it wins Best Picture.
Yeah.
They're all just duplicated. And in the past, you have to go, well, which political film this year was the best one to go into this
Right.
category to fill our Brockman's pick and mix box of what we want to be represented as the best picture.
Right.
And they just don't have to make that choice anymore. And so something like W. Remember W?
Yeah, I remember
Oliver
hearing
Stone's
about
political
it.
movie?
Yeah.
Vice is just Adam McKay's W.
Yeah.
W wasn't nominated for Best Picture, I
No,
don't believe.
I don't
We
think
just
so.
went, okay, interesting, Oliver Stone. Moving on.
Yeah.
But now they all get to jostle into this category that's overstuffed.
I know.
I mean, Green Book, come on, Green Book. The problems alone that you've had, and the guy, texting about speaking of Jews not being in the towers, like, Muslims celebrating in Williamsburg or whatever when the towers went down.
Wow.
None of this.
I haven't heard about this.
The
so-
guy who, we did this last week.
Oh.
I literally went, 9 out of 10 listeners know that I literally did this last week.
I'm sorry.
Didn't I?
I don't know. I don't remember.
How about this? Viggo says the N-word. Does that ring any bells?
Yeah.
Okay. The producer / writer is like texting at Donald Trump in like 2015 saying like, yeah, and Muslims were throwing a party in the streets.
Okay, great.
Which has never been confirmed
No.
at all by
No.
any. We've all got cell phones. There
Right.
should UFOs and Muslims celebrating on 9/11. There should be plenty of pictures of both of those things, and there are none.
Right.
So what do you think?
Yeah.
And then somebody didn't get paid or something else. Just the fact that it's, gosh, I'm glad that this top billed white guy helped.
Well, yeah. Shouldn't it
which
be
leads into
all...
we always get stuck in a rut. Wheels are spinning. You need to get out and push or put some
Right.
kitty litter down or something, and you never
Right.
do. And we end up doing 25 minutes on Viggo Mortensen saying the N-word. But I'm going to get us out. We hit a rock and we're right out because Viggo Mortensen, nominated for lead actor, Mahershala Ali nominated for supporting actor.
I know.
Isn't it about? Isn't he playing the blues musician?
Yeah. I think it should be about him. So I don't know why they aren't both lead actors.
That would be like if the
or-
movie Leon was about Matilda.
Yeah, I know.
Kind of is.
So Yeah, I don't know why it's like that. It's weird.
Did you know that the girl in the beginning sequence of The Professional, a.k.a. Leon,
Yeah.
where he comes into the penthouse, right, and he's killing all the guys like one by one, and he finally gets down to, I think, like the big fat guy, the boss, who he's supposed to get to, not kill necessarily, but like touch.
Right.
He's got like his girlfriend there or whatever, and then Leon like is gonna kill him, but then he gets a call and is like, "Don't kill him." Okay, and then the girl that's there, who's like, "You gonna call me?" Or maybe I'm thinking that's from RoboCop, the girl in the green leather outfit, slicker / outfit.
Yeah.
You know when Clarence Boddicker comes in to kill Bob Morton, and he's like, "Bitches leave."
Yes. Yeah.
And she's like, "Oh, you gonna call me, Bobby?"
Right.
Anyway. That girl who's playing like his underage prostitute, girlfriend or call girl or whatever.
Yeah.
That was right before she married Luc Besson, and then she played the wiggly Twi'lek opera singer in Fifth Element.
Oh wow. Okay.
And I think she was pregnant with their child at that point, but he had already left her to be with Mia Jovovich.
Wow. Great.
Which is why I was saying about Hellboy, the last Tooth Fairy or whatever it's called, that Neil Marshall, who as far as I know is not married, should be like,
oh man,
here we go. This is what happens. Mia Jovovich, but only if you give her a series of films.
Right. So there needs to be more than
She's
one.
not going to do the one-off. She's not with the
No.
gun kata guy because she made Ultraviolet.
Right.
I'm showing. Look, if nothing else, if this isn't good radio, I'm showing that I have a wealth of trivial knowledge
Information.
about who's zooming who
Oh man.
in Hollywood.
Yeah.
All right, so come on, let's move it on.
Okay.
So anyway, I think that's unjust, but I don't know. You think Viggo's a good actor?
Oh boy. I just keep thinking of him in Lord of the Rings, and like Aragorn is awesome. So Aragorn.
Aragon is a dragon book written by a 13-year-old.
All right, I'm sorry. I said it wrong. So, I keep thinking about that, and now I'm like thinking, what else have I seen him in? And I can't remember.
The Road.
Oh, that's right, The Road, which is
Eastern
just
Promises?
creepy. I don't know if I've seen Eastern Promises.
Oh, you should.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not great, but he does a good job in it.
Yeah.
History of Violence, same.
I haven't seen that.
He's
either.
just like what if Bruce Willis could act?
You don't think Bruce Willis can act?
Not really.
No.
This sounds like I'm ordering a pizza. That's pretty much all. He's got two levels. He's like, thanks for the advice, and then he's like, this sounds like I'm ordering a pizza. And Viggo's like, I don't think that he ever shows a lot of range. He's not really called to, but he's like that guy who commits. He's like a more fun Daniel Day-Lewis.
Okay. Sure.
Because Daniel Day-Lewis, he's on your Puritan movie. He's off carving a woodchuck out of a stick or something like that, and won't eat craft services with everybody else.
Right.
Viggo seems like the guy who is carving, but he's having pizza at the craft service table and talking to everybody too.
Right.
What was this segment? Was it Oscars?
Yeah, we were talking about Oscars.
Anyway, so, and everybody here, it all just seems like going through the motions. Christian Bale gains 40 pounds. Give him a thing.
A nom. Yeah.
Is it something? I can't guess. We can't. We're done before we even started. We are locked up. We got nothing. The axle's broke. We are not getting out of this thing.
No.
But what are you even awarding? I guess you're just if all the movies sucked and one of them didn't suck as much as the rest.
Yeah.
Congratulations, you're the best picture.
Right.
And that's just how I feel about a lot of these things. Like, hey, just want to take a look at you. All right, great. You got a lead actor nomination,
right?
And Christian Bale. You can you watch that movie and you can almost believe that he's Dick Cheney sometimes.
Sure.
But congratulations.
Yeah.
What's the point?
I know.
And Willem Dafoe, who he won a supporting Oscar for something or other, but he deserves and has long deserved a Best Actor Oscar, I think.
Yeah.
And he gets it for this crappy Van Gogh movie that everybody says sucks, but it was it's time.
Yeah, right.
You did the right kind of movie. You're not playing gas in As Extends or whatever.
Right.
And then like the whole Bohemian Rhapsody thing, it's like the best movie people think is all right. Everybody I talk to is like, yes, I love the music of Queen. So do I. And I'm going to put on their greatest hits right now.
Right.
And something else in front of my eyes.
I know.
So, and Rami Malek just held the entire thing together because the whole thing was a singer and it's all this trouble. And it's like this poor kid is just trying to do a really good job.
Mm-hmm.
Probably did. But like, you know, a movie that's not very, like a rose blooming in a septic tank. It's just a movie that's just kind of worthless and straight washes a lot of his life.
Right.
And doesn't tell you like all the important stuff.
Right.
And yet Rami Malek's just running around and kicking up a storm. So
I know. I do kind of want to see it at some point, but I'll let you know how it goes.
Just turning around on everything. I said, well, like I said, I mean, we don't need to go through all these things. The big news is that The Favorite has 1 million nominations. I think 10. I think Roma also has 10.
Of course.
Or maybe more. The big news about well, we've talked about The Favorite to no end. So just say, rah, rah, I hope you take them all home. Although, like I said before, we talked about The Favorite. This is the beginning and the end.
For Yorgos Lanthimos?
For Yorgos, or the Yorgos we know.
Oh.
And the Yorgos you don't. And the Lanthimos don't. It'd be like if Panos Cosmatos...
Yes.
You gave him an Oscar and $200 million. He would probably make a crappy black and white Trump. No,
wow.
Not a single synth. Wow.
Or Cheddar Goblin in sight.
Yeah, right. Cheddar Goblin would get a job. Cheddar Goblin in a 3-piece suit, reading the newspaper on the train.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think so, buddy. That's not what I want.
No.
Is Roma any good?
I have no idea.
The funny thing is that all I have to do is go sit down on the couch and just hit start and I can watch it, and I haven't.
Yeah, I know.
Because I don't like Alfonso Cuarón. I don't think that he's of this new wave of these amazing filmmakers, so soulful and beautiful compositions, and there's just nothing going on in their films. There's just nothing. Denis Villeneuve, the Birdman guy.
Yeah.
Who's the Birdman guy?
Birdman guy.
Inarritu.
Oh, okay.
All these guys, it's just like... Yeah, okay, they can make a movie look nice, and then there's a bunch of things that you just don't believe. It's just, this isn't how people act.
Right. No,
I know that Roma is like, okay, it's a historical drama, but it's got City of God written all over it.
I was actually kind of thinking of that when you were
and it's in
talking
black
about
and
it.
white.
Yeah.
It's like, come on. Your whole thing was making things look nice. Now I can't even look at something that looks nice.
Right.
It's just in black and white. And yes, I love plenty of black and white movies, but... That's only because I don't want Ted Turner to get his hands on them. There's nothing you can do, and we make things in color now. And it's just making something in black and white. It's like, hey, guys, this is really serious. This is really serious.
I know. I mean, it's like it should be taken really seriously, and also, isn't it quaint? Aren't we doing like something really special here?
It's not Schindler's List.
No,
but I guess it is kind of Schindler's List.
Yeah, I guess.
It's however you say list in Spanish.
In Spanish, yeah.
I'm not even going to guess. So anyway, some other things are Richard E. Grant was nominated for a supporting actor for that. It's funny but it's sad movie.
Okay.
Melissa McCarthy, because she did a great job, I guess, or do we want to have her back?
I don't know.
At the show,
I guess.
It's just, that's what it is to me.
Yeah,
although you're not really saying anything. So.
Well, I think it's great. I think Yorgos Lanthimos was nominated for Best Director, so I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's just like if A Star Is Born, The Favorite, and Roma didn't exist.
Yeah.
What would be nominated?
I know. Black Panther.
Yeah, I mean they're just really dominating all the things. So.
Yeah,
and Into the Spider-Verse is going to win animated just because. And I don't. Here's another question, and then we'll stop because this is.
Yeah.
No returns on this.
Yeah.
And I know people don't agree with me necessarily, but just for a second, go to an alternate universe where I'm right about how Into the Spider-Verse is kind of an empty film and not a great script, but is clearly the next level of animated stuff.
Animation
we
and stuff.
Did this thing where we switched to computer animated movies from traditional animation, fine, but what are you going to do with it? And something like the Lego movie goes, well, we still haven't really crossed it. Not the right term. It's technically Uncanny Valley, not the right term, but we haven't crossed that thing where we really made computer stuff People want to see the original Snow White, not reboot
Right.
the television show from the mid-90s that was computer animated, or Transformers Beast Wars.
Right.
And Lego gets around that by like, well, they're like toys. Like, we just make it look like toys, something you can identify with. This is the first time that an animated film has gone, we're in a whole new thing now. Like, this is a whole different paradigm for animated films.
Right.
On those merits alone, should it beat everything else that was nominated?
That's a really good question.
It actually isn't, because here are the other nominees. Mirai, which I don't know.
No, I don't
It's a
either.
Japanese film.
Okay.
Oh, and we're not going to talk about how their foreign film categories don't make any sense. But
Right.
Isle of Dogs, which
Yeah.
got a little backlash. Incredibles 2, which is great, but it was like, okay, it's just like the same
It's
movie.
the same story as basically as the first.
Right?
Yeah.
The first one already won.
Right.
And Ralph Breaks the Internet, so thumbs down there.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it really is the best, but
Right. Right.
could it win and not have all of its bases covered? I mean, Crash.
I mean,
Crash.
Yeah.
There's just a bunch of loser nobodies in it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Matt Dillon. And it's real important, though. It's real important.
Nobody talks
I don't
about
like
it
Mexicans.
anymore.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Right.
I know.
Can we just move on to the
Yeah,
rest
we
of the
can
news?
just move on. Let's move on past the Oscars. So,
Ugh.
I'm ready.
That was all the news, I guess. Stephen Knight and Tom Hardy want to make a Christmas Carol.
Okay.
Stephen Knight is one of the producers of Taboo.
All right.
And I don't even need to do a thing to do my Hardy voice, but
So
I'll bring it out when it's
guessing
time.
he's going to play Scrooge.
Yes. Yes. Yes, he's going to play Scrooge. And it's not too late. You there, boy? Throws a dagger at the kid's head. Yeah, they're going to do 3 1-hour things, which...
Oh, I see. With each ghost.
Yeah, maybe just do 90 minutes. You know what I mean?
Right.
Just do a movie. But
Yeah.
anyway, they're going to do it for BBC One in 3 parts. And that's pretty much all we know. But I think with those 2, you get an idea already of what it's going to look like.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty gritty and going to be lots of blues and grays.
A
And...
lot of, London street scenes, a lot of
Yeah.
fingerless gloves,
Yes.
little match girls frozen to death.
Right.
That's how that ends. People forget that that's how that ends.
Yeah, no, you're right.
But not when
really
it's Rudy
depressing.
from Cosby Show. I'm just a pop culture jackpot today. Stop pulling my arm.
Oh.
Really bad news. It looks like the New Mutants film could possibly be delayed again.
Oh, no. Why? Is there any reasoning as to why?
Well, this is just talk. This is just talk, but talk
Okay.
is often true.
Mm-hmm.
A guy named Scott Bechtel, no relation, says that he's got a source. He knows somebody working on the thing, and he says that they are looking at pushing it back. Supposed to come out. Well, actually, it's been 2 years since we saw the original trailer, which came out in 2017.
Weird. I don't even remember the original trailer, to be perfectly honest.
The original one, yeah. I think the second one was like, oh, the dishwasher's on fire.
Oh, right. It's like
the washing
the
machine.
the horror movie and like
Right.
yeah. Okay,
So anyway,
never
apparently,
mind, I remember.
apparently they are they were scheduled to be in theaters, I don't know, sometime this year.
Mm-hmm.
And now they might throw it to a Hulu release in October to go with Spooky Ween.
Okay, I mean, I guess I understand you wanting to release it in October because that's spooky, scary. But moving it from a theater release in the U.S.
Got that?
Yeah, to Hulu, that's a big change.
That is what we call a dump.
Yeah.
You have dumped this film.
So it makes me feel like they're not very confident in it, and that they think it's going to not do well. So.
Did you know that Antonio Banderas is in the movie?
No.
Yeah, I didn't either. Like, what? This thing is becoming like, what's a movie that took a long time to make?
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
Okay, Mr. Pop Culture slot machine. Isn't there a movie that's just like being famous for having to... This is the Duke Nukem Forever. There you go. I can shift into video games of
Sure.
of X-Men movies.
Yeah.
And especially with it was always going to be dicey because it's coming at this time where what are you going to do? You're not going to trash Deadpool 2. You're going to release it, but you're also now owned by somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
So if your Deadpool film wraps up with Deadpool basically going back and like killing the guy that plays him and kind of just destroying the entire movie and its whole continuity, then you're fresh to start with a new Ryan Reynolds making fun of Tony Stark's goatee or something like that.
Right.
So yeah, nobody really knows. It's clear that they never had and I always suspected that they didn't have a solid idea. Didn't you?
I guess.
Eyes Wide Shut. That's what I'm thinking of.
Okay.
Eyes Wide Shut took like 2.5 years to film, just like the principal photography.
Sure.
And it was in London. It was set in New York, but he doesn't come to America anymore.
Right.
Or didn't when he was alive.
Yeah.
I think for his own personal reasons. I don't think it was like taxes or anything.
Yeah.
So they had to create all these sets that looked like New York, like in London.
Great.
And you're Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
At the height of your stardom and power, and now you have to live in London, not in L.A. for 2 years. That's like 2 years off of like the hottest you'll ever be.
Weren't they like kind of in the middle of like getting a divorce?
They were together, but the movie probably helped push them apart.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the hell are we talking about? New
well,
Mutants.
Yeah.
It just always seemed to me like, ooh, it's going to be a ghost thriller horror movie. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
We're going to do the Camembert saga. Insensitive? Yes, it is. But we're going to fix it somehow.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but you're Simon Kinberg. You just like make phone calls and probably say, let's put Olivia Munn in it. Like, I don't think that you're the guy to really helm this thing.
Right.
And he has not been. This has been a disaster.
It sounds like a disaster. I mean,
a continuing disaster.
Yeah. And it will, if it comes out on Hulu only, that'll definitely be a disaster.
Not great. Somebody who does have the skill, the talent, and the drive to get something done is Channing Tatum.
Yeah.
Who has said that he's just going to direct this Gambit movie himself.
Are you serious? He's like, screw the rest of Hollywood.
Yes.
I'm taking the reins.
This movie has gone through a whole list of Oscar nominees of directors, from Gore Verbinski to Doug Liman to Rupert Wyatt. These are all people who, these are all white men. These are all people who have do franchise films.
Right.
You bring them in, they can do a couple of them, they do it on time, they give the studio what they want.
Right.
Every one of them has come to Gambit and been like, 6 months, maybe 6 weeks. No, I gotta go.
I wonder why that is. There must be something behind the scenes that, directors don't like. Maybe they're like telling them what they can and cannot do or something like that.
Well, we know that Simon Kinberg has not been giving it his full attention because he is currently drowning in another film that he is the director of.
Yeah.
So if New Mutants ever gets a release, maybe we'll get rolling on Gambit.
Yeah.
It's also because it's so ridiculous. It's a guy who wears a headband.
Yeah.
And he's got a mullet, and he's like, "Oh, now it's get hot, I gar-on-tee."
Yeah, I know.
Which is it? And he's just so.
He's a caricature.
He's got a teal and purple bodysuit.
Yep.
A London fog trench coat.
Yep.
And he says, "I'll be a sure bet, mon homme."
I know.
And you're asking, why can't we get this thing out of the gate?
I know.
They have to, from the ground up, redo it.
Yeah.
Because if you take those parts away, first of all, you guys love your little period pieces with the X-Men and stuff. Just set it in the 90s.
Yeah.
Slap bracelet away. Let's do this thing.
Right.
But it's tough because if you reimagine it, you go, all right, ditch the bodysuit. Forget it. He's just, he's a good-looking guy with maybe a suggestion of a mullet who's a master thief. And it's like, that's every movie ever.
Right.
Now you've lost everything that distinguishes
that makes it special or different. Yeah.
And he's fighting with the Thieves Guild down in New Orleans. And it's like, what? It's just do that. It's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
And then Channing Tatum is the guy? Come on.
Yeah, I know.
Make it and then that's something else. You go, what if we just make it a farce? Well, the problem with the farce is now you got to have jokes. Before you could just go,
right.
We have a steal the whatever, and the movie takes care of itself. If you're going to do a farce that kind of sends up like 90s, which would be amazing if they could get like X-Force and stuff to show up and Youngblood or whatever. I know, different company, but that would be great. But now you gotta have jokes,
Right?
And that's
so
tough
you have
too.
to have a joke guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody's got to have a joke guy. Boy, we've been doing this for a long, long time. Viacom has acquired Pluto TV streaming service.
Okay.
Now, Viacom is, of course, and I'm not going to look it up, but they are in charge of many cable networks.
Yes.
I can't remember which broadcast network they own, but basically they were like one of the last major players that didn't have a streaming infrastructure.
Okay. Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not familiar
Moving on to
with
the next
Pluto.
story. No, but that's the funny thing is we move on to the next story.
Yeah.
That was a blurb that we didn't, we don't have any connection to that story. But that's the most important story because this will be the new TV landscape. They are carving it up under our noses.
Right.
And when you get mad that you have to subscribe to one thing because now all your movies left Netflix and they're over here.
Yeah.
We haven't reached the point yet where the marketplace will rebel against having to maintain 15 separate
I know.
subscriptions, but it's going to get way worse before it gets better. And these are the clouds on the horizon telling you the storm's coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Here's another cloud of storms. Ready for this?
Yeah, sure.
Netflix joined the MPAA.
What?
Yep.
Why?
I don't know. I have no idea. The Motion Picture Association of America, they give out the ratings, but that's only part of it. They're basically a trade organization for Hollywood, right? Mm-hmm. And they have traditionally been, staffed or, their charge has been the 6 major studios.
Right.
Right? So Netflix is adding to that, and they're basically taking the spot of Fox, which has been absorbed by Disney. So there are still 6 major studios, more or less.
Okay.
Yes.
Huh.
So this is kind of like,
weird.
yeah. Well, it's kind of like a mob movie where we knock out Joey Pants and we bring in Freddie Two Fingers or something like that.
Right.
Oh boy, Freddie Two Fingers. He really needs help lighting his cigarette.
Oh my gosh.
So anyway, you ask why. I don't know. Legitimacy, although it's the rebel only runs as a rebel until the establishment goes, all right, get in here, and then it's like, oh well, suit and tie on the bus.
Yeah.
Cheddar Goblin.
Yeah. I just. It's so
It
weird.
also
You
gets-
had all this freedom before. Now I feel like
Because they were like,
you're gonna
we
have
don't
restrictions.
need that. Yeah, throw a rating on this. You can't. And now
Right.
they're just on the bus. No, this doesn't mean that their stuff will be rated necessarily. I'm not sure how that's
Okay.
going to fall out.
Yeah.
It also gets the MPAA money because they lose dues from Fox being absorbed. Disney doesn't have to pay double the dues or whatever, which is like
Right.
weird because they're going to have a huge market share. You should probably pay per your market share.
right.
But I don't know how it works. But what this might get Netflix is cultural penetration, which is, I think I've got that DVD. Meaning that some countries are resistant to Netflix for the reason
Sure.
that we should be.
Uh-huh.
And so they have having trouble getting into China, which is the biggest market on earth,
Right.
just sitting there. Mm-hmm. And what the MPAA provides, as a trade organization is resources like that, cultural envoys who can help push their products in these countries.
Okay.
So it's just part of them expanding.
All right.
But you've got to put the tie on
Yeah.
and drink the coffee out of the blue and white, like Grecian. It's that cup. It's that cup that's always in. I don't know if they really have these cups
yeah, I know
in
what
New
you're
York, but it's
talking
the
about.
New York coffee cup.
Yeah.
It's got like columns on it or something.
Yeah.
I always
Yeah.
like the cup where it's got you play poker. It's got the poker on the bottom. You ever see that?
No, I don't think I have.
I don't know if they do this anymore, but because everything's plastic and is floating in the ocean. But there'd be like there'd be 4 playing cards on your cup, and it's like showing it's a flush draw or something like that.
Sure.
And then it's like, well, he comes out of the machine, pours into the thing, and goes, well, you can look on the bottom to see if you win. If you look up there, oh, it's a diamond. I got the flush.
Right.
But drink some of your coffee before you do it, right?
Right.
Because otherwise, I got the.
Oh my god! I spilled coffee all over myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so much news still. Maybe we'll just talk about Deadly Class for a little bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Black Widow to start shooting in February.
Good.
Now they did say they had a script,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And we know that they've got a director.
Do we know it's ScarJo for sure yet?
Yeah, actually, we don't. All we know is there's a rumor they shoot next month.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I hope they actually do.
Great. Nicolas Cage
Yeah.
is going to re-team with the producer of his revenge thriller Mandy, the guy from SpectraVision, to make a version of The Color Out of Space.
I'm excited about
the
this.
famous H.P. Lovecraft story.
Yeah.
It will be directed by Richard Stanley, he of The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Oh.
And,
wow.
And Lost Souls,
Okay.
the excellent documentary about the making of that. Oh, I could have picked that instead of... No, I'm sticking with Eyes Wide Shut. That was pretty bad.
Yeah. The Island Dr. Moreau took a long time too, though. Yeah, I'm excited about this. I really enjoyed Mandy quite a bit. So, yeah, who knew that Nicolas Cage would be fantastic in horror films, but let's get him another horror film.
That's my favorite Lovecraft story.
Is it?
Yes. I haven't read Lovecraft in a while, and I don't know if the us being more woke would infect my enjoyment
Right.
of him thinking that black people lay eggs or whatever he thinks.
Right.
Not a lot of good ideas from that guy
No.
that weren't in his stories. I'm not sure if that sentence works, but it doesn't matter. What I'm saying is racism bad.
Yeah, I agree.
So anyway, this has nothing to do with racism. It's fine. It's a great story. It's chilling. I'm going to ruin it for you right now. Go ahead and read it if you want. You should. You absolutely should.
Yeah.
Meteor crashes on a farm. It starts to imbue the farm with weird properties. And so the cows are singing, or like the flowers talk or whatever. The trees grow weird. It's like Annihilation.
Sure.
Suddenly the farm becomes Annihilation land.
Sure.
But also the things that live there start to sort of lose vitality, like the human things, So it's like now this soil, grows alien plants and earth plants, i.e. humans, livestock, start to sort of wither and die.
Okay.
And so this is why I'm uncertain about the film, because there's no third act. It's like a short story. There's just one act.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Well, there's a thing and then a thing. And so it's an O. Henry-esque kind of thing, and there's no real story, which they'll fix. They'll find something for him to do. And the pivotal point of the story is a very un-Nicolas Cage thing.
Okay.
Because the farmer who lives there is trying to, and it's been a while, I'm paraphrasing, but the farmer who lives there has been trying to figure all this stuff out. His wife has never been right since this has happened. His kid died trying to get something out of the well or whatever. So he's basically just kind of walking through the house, feeling strange, and just sort of like locking everything up before he gets out of town, because this is just weird.
Okay.
And he goes upstairs. He hasn't seen his wife in a while. He goes upstairs and is looking in the rooms, and there's these strange things in all these rooms. And he opens the door, and there's this amazing description of like just this thing that used to be a person, it's just this knobby, gray sort of thing that's moving slowly, and it's wearing his wife's dress.
So he thinks it's his wife.
And he closes the door and just keeps walking.
Wow.
It's just like, even in like the stoicism of like, a Lutheran farmer or whatever, just like usually Lovecraft stories are about,
right.
I looked into the face of the shoggoth and I'm insane now. But this was just like, nope,
I'm not dealing with that.
Nope, I'm going to see you later.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
I have seen the face of horror, and I'm heading the other way.
Right.
And then the very end is like, after he leaves, the townspeople see that, one night they see all these flashing colors and this hum, and like it seems like the farm like it sort of ejaculates all this color like out into space, and then everything is sort of dead again. So something was growing or incubating there, like they were just raping the earth for a while.
Okay. Wow. That's dark.
Yeah. get the synth groove in there.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like. And then Richard Stanley, I don't know what's going to... He's a weird guy.
All right.
He's a weird guy. Can't wait. Boy, we talked all that much about Bohemian Rhapsody and didn't even talk about the huge Atlantic piece that came out recently with 4 new accusations from 4 new people against Bryan Singer for some of that underage sex stuff.
Wow. That's a lot.
Yep.
That's not good.
He fired back that the reporter, this is part of a homophobic smear campaign.
Okay.
Which, true or not, that's the defense you go with, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I don't know. We'll see if anything. I don't think any charges have been filed.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
All right.
Hulu, speaking of Hulu,
Yeah.
is dropping their prices.
Really?
Just after Netflix announced they're raising their prices.
Yeah.
Here's the trick, though. They dropped their price to like $5 for their basic plan, which is
Okay.
more Wisp commercials than TV show at this point.
Right.
But they raised their premium plan price by $5 when nobody was watching. This is the one that gives you all their content, gives you live TV. This is their cable package version, basically.
Right.
I mean, it's a good deal, but it comes out now to be about as much as cable. You're just paying for cable.
Right.
And that's where they're getting us.
I know. It all adds up. It's crazy how many streaming services there are these days.
Yeah. Man, we are still not done. Should we take a break and talk about Deadly Class now?
We could.
This is insane.
Do you want to?
It's so crazy. Let's do it.
All right.
Boy, the news out of space. Open the door and see a guy sitting behind a desk with some papers, with a globe behind him, and then just slowly close the door and walk away.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Deadly Class.
Yes, let's.
By who?
By Rick Remender and
Wes Craig.
Wes Craig.
Literally met them both.
I know.
Yes, by that duo. Oh boy, I'm terrified. But like, quick synopsis of Deadly Class, and literally the premise, because we're just recapping people who might not have heard the first part. And if you haven't, we're going to spoil the first part.
So you just want a premise recap, not what happened in the. Okay.
It's funny that I always want that, but I'm going to see. I think I can get it from you now. I've found the right combination of buttons to take a screenshot here.
Okay. Well, so Marcus Lopez is an orphan. He's been living on the street. Things have not been going well for him. And he finds this school. What is it? It's like something.
King's Dominion.
King's Dominion. I knew it was Dominion. King's Dominion, which teaches kids his age how to be deadly assassins.
It's Harry Potter for murderers.
Yeah. And it is run by Master Lin. And
no proper nouns.
No,
just get through it.
It kind of looks like it takes place in there's kind of like some Chinese iconography stuff around, but I don't know. Like, I think the TV show made it sound like Master Lin's family has been doing this for like a really long time.
Yeah. What would you think? Master Lin's going to pull off his beard, and he's a white guy. He's like,
yeah.
Eyes, yellow face, academy. Yeah, I know. I think there's some kind of tradition going on.
Yeah.
Here.
So
didn't you get it? That's pretty much it.
That's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's also, and the whole thing serves as a cover for Rick Remender wanting to write about all the stuff he liked in his youth. It's like when my favorite combination of Declan Shalvey. No, that's a man. The Wicked and the Divine, when Gillen McKelvey.
Yeah.
When Kieran Gillen wants to basically just do a thing about like British pop in the 80s.
Right.
But he's like, but their spells are magic, so it's phonogram or whatever.
Right.
Like, this is Rick Remender going like, I want to talk about Thundercats, but how do I do it with some murder and some intestines hanging off like a stick?
Exactly.
Deadly Class.
Yeah.
So that's what we've got.
Yeah.
So it's about these kids.
It takes place in the 80s.
Yeah, and they're dealing with crazy murders and plots and poisonings and stuff, but also like, they're drinking Red Dog and talking about the X-Men
and smoking cigarettes
and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like they don't get. I mean, and the funny thing is that any character in any comic book could do that, but they don't get it. Like, they're like, one thing that Remender does pretty well, I think, and it actually makes sense here because there's always a crazy amount of like purple prose and internal monologue.
Yeah.
But this was actually a smart kid's internal monologue.
Right.
And he should really be worried about like saying yes to being in a school of assassins that failing means they kill you. Like,
Right.
But instead he's like thinking about girls, and he's like, I'm such a screw up, and he's just got like this. He's focused on the wrong stuff, but cut him some slack. He's 17.
Right, exactly.
If that.
Yeah. So
anyway, as we pick up, the last 6 issues or whatever was him. It was one episode of the show. Was him matriculating into the school, learning who the bad guys and good guys were, so
all
to
the
speak,
cliques,
and getting in with the cliques, and then him and Willie, his friend that he makes, killing a guy, and they're not supposed to.
Yep.
And we learned that Marcus's past is even darker than we thought, and it wraps up with Marcus and some friends going to Las Vegas on a sort of acid-fueled fun time, hoot and holler. And Maria, one of the girls, has a thing for him, and Chico is mad about that.
Her
Chico's
boyfriend.
a very abusive boyfriend.
Yeah.
And Chico basically snaps and tries to kill them all in Vegas. They basically kill him. And then this weirdo with no face...
Yep.
Basically, his face is like, just scar tissue is like blown off, shows up and cuts off Chico's head and takes it. I think Maria had already cut it off. But anyway, he takes the head and says, I'm going to keep this.
Yeah.
Of course, it's bad news if Chico's dad finds out that they killed him, because Chico's dad is like a
Mexican
cartel guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be like, this guy is like, Chico's dad is what El Chapo probably thought he was. If one of those paintings of El Chapo, those murals, stepped down off of the bodega, that's what Chico's dad is.
Yeah.
And so this is hanging over the gang as they go back to their studies.
Yes.
Of murder. How did you think that these 5 issues compared to the first 6 that you read?
Yeah, I think that they were really good. Like the initial arc. I think that the initial arc maybe was a little bit more cohesive as an overall story.
Really?
Well, this
acid trip in Vegas?
I know, but
I'm back in
this story is basically the thing that ties it together is that they're trying to locate Chico's head, and because they need to dispose of it so that his dad doesn't come after them. So they're looking for
which is dumb.
The crazy guy.
It's dumb, and it's also stupid kid logic, because he'll just assume at some point, well, clearly you guys
often
know what happened.
Right.
And so I'll just torture you to death.
Right.
And then same result.
I know. So the guy who you were seeing, like, didn't have a face. His name is like
F-face.
Chester Wilson, or F-face.
We'll call him F-face.
Okay. So he has like a gang of people that they're like hanging out at this abandoned apartment in the Tenderloin, which is the really shady part of San Francisco.
Even when you lived there,
yeah,
you knew don't go to the
Tenderloin.
Tenderloin.
Go to the Tenderloin. There's a lot of homeless people there.
Whoa.
And shady characters.
Yeah.
So
I'd say there's a lot of like drugs and
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Just put it right on the homeless people.
Sorry.
Those homeless people at the wharf.
Yeah, I know.
Go there.
I know.
Wow.
So, yeah. I don't know. Like, Marcus is such a terrible liar. I think that's one of the things I came away with from this arc. Like, he's just not very good at it, so he should just stop. Like,
is he a good person?
Yeah, that's super questionable too, and I think he's not even sure if he is or not.
Well, we get in this run, we get like his secret origin.
Yeah,
we'd heard about something that had happened at the orphanage that he was at.
Yeah,
and we learned that, and like everything's at 11 in this book, so I guess I can't get on the comically evil sweatshop orphanage that he lives.
I know, right?
And where they basically force the kids to work constantly and then beat them up when they don't.
Yeah.
So you don't feel bad when he crafts a bomb made of like needles, basically, that like blows up. You do go, oh, but did you need to like shoot everyone in the head? Like basically his plan to get out of this place is he gets his hands on one of the guns, and it's like a guard at a orphanage has a Glock.
Yeah, I know, right?
Whatever. Actually, it's like the 80s, so it wouldn't have been a Glock, early 80s. Whatever. He's got a Beretta.
Right.
So he gets his gun and just begins murdering all of the adults. Now, they're all bad, but it's like, wow. And then his plan is to kill all the adults, let the kids go.
Yeah.
But that's not what happens because
No.
his cellmate was F-Face.
Yeah.
And he was abusive to him as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so he pronouns Marcus poisons F-Face
ham
and
and
then
cheese
blows
sandwich.
him up
Yeah.
with the other guys.
Yep.
But he's alive. And so Marcus barely escapes with his life in something that's kind of yada-yada'd. Maybe we'll get back to it later. And what really happens is that the entire orphanage burns down with all the kids inside, all the adults and everything, and then Marcus gets blamed for it. Bad news for Marcus. You'd think good news for F-Face, but no. It's double trouble because F-Face is mad that everybody thinks Marcus did it because he wants the rep of being this serial killer.
Right.
To the point where the redneck family that he lives with, he sends them out to do serial killings and then sign his name for him.
Yeah.
Which is, I know, they're referencing, Charles Manson or whatever, but it's like, I'm not sure if that's lazy or enterprising for a serial killer. Yeah, go out there and just make sure you put the ribbon on his butt or whatever. That way they'll know it's me.
I know, right?
Be home by 8.
I know, and he gets really mad at this one guy because he didn't sign his name. He was like, he beats the crap out of him, and
no,
he sticks his head in the
puts
toilet.
the crap in him.
Yeah,
first.
right.
What do you think about the gross out stuff in this book? There's a lot.
There's a lot. Yeah.
Because it's
I don't
not
know.
just.
I think maybe it's part of it being turned up to 11.
Now that the murder family is like gone,
yeah,
there's less of it going forward, but there's still, even without that, like Marcus crapping in his pants.
I know.
At the comic book shop.
I know.
It's like, I feel like it's played because it's definitely for adults, but it stars teenagers, and like teenagers in a teenage movie. The gags are like for kids too. It's like, oh man, he thought he was gonna fart and he pooped his pants.
Right.
Oh no, dog.
Yeah.
I feel like the gags and the humor are kind of set up in that direction as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and then he even says like this has got to be karma or something like that because he had cheated on Maria with Saya and he felt bad about that after the fact, even though like during it he supposedly told Saya that he loved her. So, I don't know. Like,
yeah, but a new pair of underwear is like $1.
Yeah,
a
I know,
broken heart
right?
lasts forever. It's not much karma.
I mean, he just kind of does whatever he wants to do. Like, I mean, I thought it was bad when he sneaks into Maria's room, sees that she's crying and drinking alcohol,
Closes
and then
the door.
he just leaves.
Keeps
I
going.
know. And then he's like, yes, I'll go to a concert with you, whatever. Which, is fine. I think that's all innocent and everything. And then she kisses him and, like, it's like game over. So.
It's kind of too that, I don't know. Part of it is, and I've read past this. I'm pretty much current. He's not going to get this stuff figured out for a while. Mm-hmm. But I do like the fact that he's being led in some ways, but he's also making his own choices. And I think that was a big problem for him.
Yep.
Just having personal agency. Because he's thrown around by these guys. He's told what to do over here. He's, living homeless in San Francisco. And so it's not cool that he does what he does or that he reaches out and then kind of withdraws his support from Maria. But
right.
It's also a kid. There's this self-consciousness of like, I'm just a kid. Even I should, I don't know anything, but even I know that this is too much for like me to bear. Like, why do I have to be the guy that helps my girlfriend who murdered her boyfriend get over that? Like, I just want to be a kid.
Right. Right.
And I have a little bit of sympathy for him for that reason.
Yeah. And he talks about how like she's so crazy. Like, I mean, in the first issue of this run, she shoots an arrow at him. Like, she's like tries to freaking kill him. And I mean, Saya catches the arrow because she's a badass. But like, seriously, like she is crazy. And she said she did it to get like his attention and get Saya's attention, that she was on to her trying to steal him from her. But like, what if Saya hadn't caught that? What if Marcus had gotten hit with an arrow? What do you do then? Say you're sorry?
You got another body to hide.
I don't think there are like sympathy cards that have or say I'm sorry I shot you.
Well, these kids are emotional. She's a fiery Latina.
I
really
know.
recommend her.
I know.
Really recommend her.
I know.
My biggest complaint about Maria is not that she's written, racist isn't the word, insensitively necessarily, but that she's inconsistent because she goes on for a long time. I guess spoiler again for the comic book. And like Marcus, she starts to figure her life out and get better at this. But if you look back and you can chart the path of like, oh, her problem was this or this or this, and she overcomes it. No, she just kind of suddenly becomes a more capable character.
Okay.
And so like, can you look at, I know that we have one main character, but even in this series now, we're switching to other people's POVs, which they changed the text box colors. That's not enough to let me know that this is Saya's thoughts now. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then we switch to Maria's thoughts in the same issue. And it's like, either don't do that. I know that you love your internal monologuing. Got it from Frank Miller, probably.
Probably.
But, yeah, it's a little confusing. But anyway, I just don't think that she is as well developed. And when I think about it, Saya's got a huge story arc coming. But it's still just sort of, it's Marcus's world. And all these sexy ladies want to
be with Marcus
and kill him at the same time. So it's a little bit of wish fulfillment.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I suppose it is. Yeah.
While The Cure is playing.
Right.
It does lead to a great scene, though, where they're all like on this team. They go on the big plan. They're going to infiltrate the house where all these guys live. And, of course, it goes tits up immediately.
Yep.
And the redneck murder girl is like going to kill Saya, and then Maria comes in and she's just like, okay, I'm just going to watch. And she's like, what are you doing? Just help me. And right at that point, she's like, you had sex with Marcus, didn't you?
Yeah, I know, right?
Like, oh, a new challenger enters this fight.
I know. And then you hear, like you said, then you hear Saya's thoughts, like Maria's gonna let me die over some boy.
Which I got that, but thanks for letting me know.
Right.
Remember as Saya.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then I like it when you see they did a cool thing that you would see in a movie. I think they do it in like Shaun of the Dead, just for a recent example, but where they're planning it, but they're doing it at the same time.
Yes.
So like, first we'll do this, but we're just seeing them do it. Like it's something that's kind of borrowed from cinema. I've never seen it in comics before, but they use it here. Because after the explanation, you figure, now they're going to do all this stuff. No, they're already there.
done it.
Yeah, and we just start with them kicking the door open.
Right.
Which I thought was pretty good.
Yeah.
We're also introduced to, or reintroduced into a couple of characters in this who will kind of go on and be the slightly larger
group that we all
cast of characters or sub characters in it, like people like Petra and Lex and Shabnan and Brandy and whatnot. Yeah. They'll all become very important in, I think, the next storyline.
Sure.
Or arc. Yeah. When there's like chaos breaks out at the school and like it turns into Lord of the Flies and everybody sort of like has to group up into their own cliques and groups.
Sure.
Do you think, I don't know, I have a feeling that punk music, whatever aside, Rick Remender was probably a real big nerd in junior high, right?
Probably.
Just like I was, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't in any of those groups.
No.
He's playing D&D.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
So is this written from the perspective of somebody like that? Because Marcus is clearly like, I don't care about your groups, man. It's just systems of control.
Right.
And then even the one punk guy who's trying to take everybody down, he's like, well, why don't you listen to your Bauhaus records or whatever? He's like, hey, screw you. Your punk is stupid too.
Right. I know.
And yet all this guy wants is to like belong.
Right.
And then he goes to this like show at the Fillmore. People are slam dancing and stuff like that. Yeah. He's like, I want to get in on that. It's great. Right. Is it the whole like sour grapes thing?
What do you mean?
Does he want something? Does he hate something because he can't have it?
Oh.
And if the he applies to maybe. Rick Remender or Marcus, I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out right now. Like, what is he trying to say about all these groups? Because we all look for ways to define us. We all select the things that we like. Mm-hmm. Daredevil is my favorite comic book character. I had Wes Craig draw it for me when I met Wes Craig. But I made a choice at some point. Sure, it turned me on. Sure, I enjoyed the stories. But at some point I went, I'm going to follow more of this.
Right.
And so kids, listen to some Joy Division, and then they move on to, Bauhaus or whatever.
Right.
And then now they're spiking their hair and then dyeing it black or whatever.
Right.
Like they're, this is how they identify. This is how they want to express themselves.
Right.
So calm down, Lex. What's wrong with that?
Yeah. I think you might
Everybody's
be right.
calling everybody fake all the time.
I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
Like, I think Marcus is kind of fed up with the different cliques. And like, well, for example, like he and Maria are dating, but he can't let anybody know in her clique because then they'll like get upset and maybe try to kill him because it's against their clique rules. So
it's also weird that she was basically raised by Chico's family, I guess.
I know.
As we find out in the flashback when
Yeah.
El Alma del Diablo or whatever.
You got that right. That's El Alma del Diablo.
The soul of the devil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chico's dad.
So basically, like it's a in-house live-in concubine.
I guess so. Well, Chico
Chico.
kind of like saves her by saying, she's clever, she's useful.
Yeah.
And they crucify her dad right in front of her, which is just terrible.
Yeah, it's neat. So anyway, you didn't have any answer for me about the whole. What do you really want here?
I
Because we seem to have a theme in this show about Netflix is Marcus. The MPAA is the clique.
Right.
And he's like, stupid cliques, I don't need you. They're like, you want to join? Sure.
I think he wants to be friends with whoever he wants to be friends with, and he doesn't care what clique they're in. That's what I think. So I think he's trying to rebel against cliques because they're trying to tell him who he can and cannot be friends with, and he doesn't like that. Because the misfit clique that kind of adopts him, Saya's not in that clique, Maria's not in that clique, so I think he just wants...
But they're something of loners themselves.
Yeah.
Because Saya doesn't
That's
seem
true.
to be... It's not like she hangs out with a bunch of like Yakuza guys. Like
That's
she's
true.
always doing her own thing.
Yeah. I think he'd rather make up his own clique.
There's no answer to my question, but you don't seem interested in exploring the premise that I've laid down.
Well,
and that is what a co-host should do. So let's move on.
Hey,
we got a lot of news to get to.
I know. I don't think he likes the idea of cliques. I think he wants to create his own.
Right. Rick Remender.
I'm talking about Marcus.
Yeah, but I asked you about Rick Remender.
Oh. I think you're right. I think Rick Remender is probably a dork and probably didn't belong to.
I just want to know what he is saying because I think it turns out I think he's a good writer, but sometimes I wonder how good he is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he has set up this thing which is not. I mean, if it didn't, it's way too violent and bloody and all this other stuff. But if it was more sanitized, I think you could show it to a teenager. And I think, who are we kidding? Teenagers read this book for sure.
Of course they do.
But I mean, I think it's a good. It would resonate with them as somebody who is like, yeah, I feel those things too, and I don't understand why I'm not allowed to do this, or why somebody is won't be my friend, and it just deals with a lot of things. Who as a man who is close to my age, happened a long time ago.
Right.
And it's easy to forget how you felt back then,
Right.
and he's done a really good job encapsulating those feelings that you have back then, I think. But I don't know if it's just a product of his endless... Because, like, you flip over to Fear Agent or something, and you've got a character who's like, people don't accept me, and this is all in your internal monologue. It's like the exact same thing.
Right.
But he's finally found a place where it, like, sort of fits. And then you throw in, a couple references to Run DMC or something like that, and you're all set.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm trying to give him a compliment, for God's sake.
Okay, all right. He's writing clicks pretty
deadly.
well.
This class is deadly. Oh, it's so deadly. Oh, it's so deadly. Must be beats. Anything else to say about Deadly Class issues 7 through 11, which I don't think we said at the beginning. No, we did.
I think we did. I really don't like F-Face, like at all. So when the dogs get out, when Larkus lets the dogs get out, and I'm assuming they kill him, I'm like,
Keep reading.
yeah, okay, all right, great. So he's not dead. Yeah. It's weird that F-Face has Mrs. Rank, who was
that
the
came
orphanage,
out of nowhere. I know.
person who ran the orphanage, in a cage, naked with a pig nose.
I'm not sure. I know. I think they're just being transgressive. But if anything, I guess if it serves a function, it shows that he isn't just a maniac. He's also he's Marcus's Joker, basically. Like he's somebody who he acts crazily, but he also can be methodical and plan. And he, just in case you didn't get it, he says in the book, think about how long I must have kept her in that cage just so you could watch me kill her in front of you. Do you know what I mean?
So we could share this moment together.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, so messed up.
You want to know how I got those scars?
Yeah, I know, right?
That's pretty much it for me. I like that it gets real meta when we get to the comic shop scenes.
Yes.
But it's like, if there wasn't all death and murder, like, I'd read a book set in a comic book shop by Rick Remender.
Why not?
Where everybody's talking about, like, Wally Wood blowing his brains out. Stuff like that.
I know.
And the comic shop is called Lost Innocence.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
No, Sammy, we're going to keep driving. Let's go to the next one. I wouldn't take my kid to Lost Innocence Comics.
No, it doesn't. No. It sounds terrible.
Yeah. Toys in the attic.
Yeah. I like how Maria fights and then kind of brutally murders Gran. That was probably one of the most violent parts.
Oh yeah, right.
With a pitchfork.
And then, speaking of meta stuff, a guy walks into the lampshade on his head and starts beating her up, and he's like, "Why is it that you have such hate for us, the redneck people?
I know.
Are we not noble souls?"
I
It's basically
know.
putting up that redneck is the last thing in the world that you can actually make fun of or call somebody or whatever.
And it's not racist,
right?
Or whatever.
Yeah, right. And then he's making the case that it is. And you're like, okay. And then the whole bit ends with somebody making a hee-haw joke.
Yes.
when he murders the guy.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, boy.
I know.
Okay. Well, yep. The big, huge Baby Huey guy is like, verily, you have persecuted us most viciously.
I know. And he keeps going even after Saya stabs him with her katana, and it's just halfway through him, and he just keeps going.
Right.
Somebody pulled his string, and he's just not going to shut up until he's done.
Murderous Baby Huey.
Yes.
I think I'm good.
Yeah, I think I'm good too.
Would you recommend this?
Yeah, I would.
Still doing it for you.
Yeah, I think it's entertaining. It leaves you on a cliffhanger, the Chico's dad and his cartel are there.
Oh yeah, and it's
very
I know that part of the plan is crashing a fireworks truck and setting a fire, but they are literally leaving the pan and entering the fire.
Yeah, exactly.
And it gets
He's
crazy.
I was wondering if you'd seen my son, and I can see that you have, because Marcus has his head in his hands.
Right. Bad news.
Really bad news.
Well, maybe we'll do this as a kind of segment. I know it was Comic Book Club, but maybe it'll be
a deadly
classes in session or something.
Okay, all right.
God, give it a stupid name. As the show continues, and we can look at the comic, and we can get it on the ground floor. We missed the Walking Dead one.
Sure.
9 years ago or whatever that stupid show came out. We'll get it on the ground floor of this thing.
Yeah, that sounds good.
But Rick Remender's going to have to write real fast
to keep up with the show. I know.
I don't think it's going to happen.
No, I don't think it is either.
All right, back to the news. She-Ra and the Princesses of Power returns for a second season in April.
Okay.
That look on your face that the listener can't see tells
it's
tells
okay.
me that there is a show in our future where we talk about She-Ra.
Yeah,
so maybe
it's all right.
Save your review.
Okay.
You got something I'm going to like? That's from A Promiscuous Girl by Nelly Furtado, produced by Timbaland. Resident Evil has a TV show.
Oh, boy.
Yes, Andre the Giant has a posse. Resident Evil has a TV show. It's going to be produced by Constantine Film, who did all the crappy Resident Evil movies. They're basically taking their talents to Netflix.
All right. Okay. Resident Evil on Netflix.
No word on if Mia Jovovich will be involved. I'm guessing no.
Guessing not. Well, they'll find a, I don't know, C-class replacement or something like that. I don't know, like a
Adrian Palicki.
something like that.
Nailed
Yeah.
it. I was about to ask you what a C-class Mia Jovovich was, and no, I got the answer.
You pulled in the answer.
I got the answer.
Yeah.
Pretty soon it'll be Ruby Rose. Doctor Strange has a sequel,
Okay.
and it is being written by Mr. C. Robert Cargill.
Okay.
Sometimes I forget he's got. Not only does he have a name that's not Cargill, but I don't even know his. Actually, I do know his first name, but I won't say it because he doesn't want people to know. He's just Cargill.
Yeah, I know, right?
And then people are like, "Oh, something Robert Cargill." I'm like, "Robert Cargill? Who's that?"
Who is that? That sounds all proper. And
His
everything.
dad.
Yeah.
The alternate universe where he has a 3-piece suit on and is reading the paper on the train. I'm going to make this happen. Got
Yeah.
a show art.
I wonder if he's...
Cheddar Goblin on his shoulder.
Yeah.
Could I have the sports section, please?
I wonder if he's going to show up at Convergence this year or not. He wasn't there last year.
If he's writing this, he might take a break from writing this movie.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Let's see. We talked about how the young hot Tolkien movie,
Yeah.
or at least we talked about a Nick Holt Tolkien biopic that was in
right.
the works, and I think I suggested it's probably going to be like Sexy Tolkien, and if you look at the first images from the set, it's that's what they're
Sexy
doing.
Tolkien?
Yep,
Oh,
it's a
boy.
hot Tolkien,
I don't know how I feel about that.
just like we all knew he was going to be.
Right. Such a fox.
Weird. Chris Nolan has a new movie.
Okay.
It's coming out in 2020,
All right.
summer.
What is it called?
I don't know.
We don't know yet. Okay.
Ask me some other questions.
What is it about?
Don't know.
You don't know. Who's in it?
No idea.
Do we know anything about it
No, we don't know
besides when
anything
it's
about it.
coming out?
No.
Okay.
This is in character for him. Sometimes you just know because Variety told you that Anne Hathaway has signed a deal
Right.
to work on a movie with whatever I can't remember his production company working title. I can't remember who they are. Who's working title? Doesn't matter.
I don't know.
I think that's Edgar Wright. Anyway, so okay, well, I guess Interstellar's got Matthew McConaughey in it, and I'm guessing it's about space because it's called Interstellar.
Right.
That's usually how we figure out things about
Right.
Christopher Nolan movies. So, yeah, we don't know, but be
Okay.
on the lookout for that.
All right.
Also coming out in 2020 is Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters,
3.
not called 3 just yet, I don't believe, but
Okay.
it will be coming out in 2020. And also on Sony's slate, you're just killing it, Sony. That's when they're going to drop that Morbius movie, or at least they plan to.
Oh, boy.
Jared Leto, of course, will be playing Morbius in their Morbius film.
Okay.
Joining him in the film, Matt Smith. Oh, now you want to see it. Now you want to see it.
Okay. Can I say something about Matt Smith? I think he picks good TV things to be in,
But not good
but not
movie things?
good movies, not good films.
You're referring to The Crown, of course?
Yes, I enjoyed him in The Crown. I thought he did a really good job.
The stiffest of upper lips.
Yeah. Well, Philip is kind of like he's a little bit of a playboy, and there's a part of him that like he fought for several things that he wanted, like his children having his last name, that sort of thing. He was really hard on like...
She had to put the heel down and say,
Right.
Look, you're not the king, Buster.
Right, exactly.
You're the consort.
He was really hard on Charles and sent him away to the school that he went away to, and Charles hated it.
I fully deserve this.
Sorry.
I broke the dam.
I have watched both seasons of The Crown, and I thoroughly enjoyed it.
You're going to love seeing Maggie Thatcher.
I know.
Gillian Anderson.
A hot Maggie Thatcher.
I've never been sexually attracted to Margaret Thatcher.
I know.
That's going to change a lot for me.
I know.
I'm going full Tory.
What?
Don't worry
Is
about it.
it Tory Saved by the Bell? Is that what you're doing?
No, but if the Tories want to change their image, because from what I understand, they're not doing well. Like even like you got Labor.
Yeah.
That's like the liberal, like people,
Mm-hmm.
and the Tories, they're the conservatives, right?
Sure.
So they were, much like in America, conservatives ran wild over London, and all of England and the UK
Right.
in the 80s. And the Iron Lady, Margaret Thatcher, was at the front of that. She was their, Ronald Reagan, basically.
Sure.
Then you get like dipshits like Tony Blair, he was like supposed to be Britain's Bill Clinton, although he accomplished much less than Bill Clinton ever did. And now it's like they've got this Brexit thing going on, so it doesn't map exactly onto us. Also, I don't know exactly what I'm talking about, but basically just about everybody is Labour. Like they're more left of us. But that breaks down into more conservative and more liberal Labour people.
Sure.
So I'm just saying, if the Tories wanted to bring it back, get people on their side, and just go full Trump on this thing, instead of red hats, they could have leather jackets coming out.
I like it.
It's all right.
Yeah.
You're Saved by the Bells, Tory, from the college season or whatever it was.
Yeah. All right.
Season 5.
All right. I like it.
Yeah. If that's your suggestion.
Yes,
All right.
definitely.
Well, that's where we would cut to the last part, but we're doing the last part right now.
Yeah.
So thanks for listening, peoples. And you can always follow us on those social medias. Follow us on Facebook, on Twitter, by searching for Just Enough Trope, and get more of this, more analysis, more news, more looking at the tropes, more jokes about Cheddar Goblin riding the commuter train.
Right.
And he's
3-piece suit.
some guy comes on with a boombox. Maybe it doesn't smell so good, and he sort of like subtly adjusts, not to offend, but to get away from this guy. He doesn't want to smell like BO, and Patchouli's got a big meaning.
Right.
This is what, and you think Cheddar Goblin sees his reflection in the window of the train and says, "What have I become? Is this what I wanted? I had kale for dinner last night.
Oh my God.
Not cheddar macaroni and cheese. What's wrong with me?" Something about Facebook? So
Yeah.
anyway, check us out there. Also, if you don't already get our show from a podcatching service, but you want to, go do that. Do that, sir. Go to
Yes.
Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, Stitcher, wherever you get our show from. And usually I have a whole spiel. I'll just I'll pull you aside for a second. Oh, he's aside. He's going to pull aside. We need your reviews. We need your ratings. We need these things. Like, they are very important. Not only do they help us move up in the ranks, if you are looking for something like nerd-related, nerd category, Google Podcasts, bam, we're going to come up that way. But we're going to come up quicker if we get reviews from people. And
Yes.
I mean, it goes without saying, positive reviews. Don't lie, but we would appreciate your positive feedback, because that way we move up, and then people go, "Huh, what's this? What's this
Right.
temporary show art that I meant to replace 5 years ago, but now it's just our de facto art," which is still visually interesting, so it works out.
Yeah.
What's this?
Right.
They're talking about Cheddar Goblin. Great. We get up there because you took the time to go to your platform of choice and do us this kindness. So get on there. It doesn't have to be complicated.
No.
You just type in, "Hey, really like it. They talk about goofy stuff, some good insights." I mean, I don't know if these things are true.
Right.
Don't lie. Click 5 stars, bam, done.
Yes.
It's 15 seconds of your time. And it's you can't even enumerate like how much benefit it gives us
Right.
when that happens. So that's what we're really asking for. We're asking for your 5 dejected, middle-aged, balding, paunchy Cheddar Goblins.
Right.
Who are
Right.
wondering where it went wrong. And need themselves a Patty Stew. Not Patty Stew. Peggy Sue.
Yeah.
You bought an Edsel, Father. What a mistake that was. Patrick Stewart is Kathleen Turner in Peggy Sue Got Married. No, I was just saying the Cheddar Goblin is like looking back, and he wished that he could do it all
Yeah.
over again.
Oh, I see. Yes.
What about a Christmas Goblin? A Cheddar Carol?
A Cheddar Carol. I
Cheddar
like
Goblin is, he's like Scrooge, right? And Bob Cratchit's like, "Oh, please, sir, just a little more cheese." And he's like, holding on to the cheese.
it. Yeah. And then
These ratings are falling.
he adds more cheese at the end.
4 stars,
So
3 stars. So give that a shot. We'd really appreciate it.
Yes.
Here's what's coming up in the future for us. Not necessarily next week, but we got a big month, 6 weeks of shows and stuff planned here. There's a lot of I love the fact that February and January were where the bad movies live.
yeah, I know.
Where the wild things aren't.
Yeah.
And that has changed because a lot of people are throwing their kind of risky things,
They're
not
wild
just
cards,
things
yeah.
we don't believe in there. And so we are going to be reviewing a lot of those films. To that end, we'll be reviewing Battle Angel Alita when it comes out on February 14th. My True Valentine, although I think she's like a kid or something like that. So just forget about that. Be one of those friendly ones.
Right.
You're the best.
Right.
A yellow rose. We'll be talking about that. We'll be talking about some of the comic book, of course, to tie in with that. We'll also be talking about, we mentioned She-Ra before. We'll be talking about She-Ra, how did we put this? The Cal Arts show?
Yeah.
Sort of
yeah.
sneeringly, sneering back, talking about some of these high-profile reboots and their focus on female viewers and what they're accomplishing with this.
Right.
We're still sort of researching, and so we don't want to speak out of turn just yet. Get all the facts, and then we'll talk about that. What else are we looking forward to?
Rashomon is showing at a local art house.
Yes.
And we're going to...
That will be next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, next week we'll be talking about the actual film, Rashomon, starring Toshiro Mifune and directed by Akira Kurosawa. And also talking about the trope of the Rashomon story in media.
Yeah.
And just the other day, I saw some great examples that I think we'll probably draw on to talk about that.
All right.
So
Sounds
there you
good.
go.
Yeah.
It's full. The
Yes.
days are packed.
Yes, they are.
And
Our
I can't
dance
wait
card is full.
to get to them, yes. So stay tuned for all that great stuff. We'll love bringing it to you. So until then, I guess for now, we'll sign off. I'm your host, Caliban.
I'm your co-host, Mikan Hana.
Keep the geek fires burning.